Clock will open up for December 1st, 2020 work session. Please silence or shut off your cell phones as always. Join us in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Melanie, we have an addition.
Yes, Kevin Hawk has an addition of service bodies for the road department trucks.
All right, no other additions or deletions. Should be hopefully a short meeting today.
Good morning, Kevin.
Hello.
Okay, we just opened up our session.
So we'll start right off. Kevin's on the phone. We have an addition to service bodies for the road department trucks. Go ahead, Kevin.
Yeah, I apologize for the addition. I was waiting for these quotes to be chased around and get people to give me quotes over that long holiday type deal. But you guys should be looking at 3 quotes, one from S&G Customs. I tried to send a picture along with each one so you had a visual aid of what we're talking about here. One from Oregon Metal Craft, and then one from Cascade Truck and Trailer Sales. We'd like to move forward with the service body from S&G Customs. They're a little bit heavier built, as I put in the summary recommendation for all the storage of different things that we have. They're lockable. Also allows for gooseneck access. It comes with a bumper hitch, so we have more availability for different trailers that we utilize. Move equipment around. Service lights in the back. There's a lot of times when we're changing the cameras on the vanway or doing different things, and we work in dark hours as well. So these beds fit what uses we anticipate have for them. And the service bed in general, I believe, helps us with minimizing potential accidents or incidents of trip, slips, and falls. It seems like the more maintenance activities we have, the more things we need to carry, and the less we jump in and out of the back and have access from the ground, the better situation we have. So, do you guys have any questions?
And you're looking to purchase 2 of these?
We'd like to put one on each of these new trucks that we're getting. That's what we have. Working towards, I guess.
Right. So, Kevin, this is Brad, obviously. So changing to where we're putting service bodies onto rigs that also plow pickups, quite a bit of, I would assume, quite a bit of extra weight. We normally just have service bodies on our mechanic rigs and stuff. This is you're trying to go to a dual purpose rig now, or you have a need other than your mechanics to have service bodies?
There's a few trucks at the road shop that have service bodies. Our sign truck does. There's another compressor. It's an older sign truck. But what we're finding is with our regional work, we all are working not in Lakeview, not where the mechanics are. If the mechanics and so forth are working in the shop, and we're in Christmas Valley, we're starting to carry a lot more, not major tools, but tools that we can get by throughout the day, so that we're not waiting on a mechanic to drive from Lakeview. And with the regional work, we're Silver Lake, Summer Lake, Christmas Valley, Fort Rock for the next several years in the preparation of our surface treatment program and so forth. So a lot of the maintenance is in those areas, cattle guard adjustments and things like that. We want to look at carrying torches and onboard air, so we have air compressors to do drainage activities, pipe extensions, and things like that. So we're just trying to utilize and be more efficient with the equipment that we either have or that we're acquiring.
Okay, so the S and G is, for tomorrow's when you're recommending that's for 2 beds, the total price being $16,291.40, is that correct?
Yeah, 2,290.
And that's for two beds.
Correct.
Yeah, I think individually it would come out to about 8,145.
Yeah, and I think on the sheet, I'm trying to pull it up right now as I'm talking to you on another device here. I'm thinking that they broke out, yeah, they did, for the cost of the steel decking and the other additional compartments on that weren't available on some of these other ones that we looked into. The other thing that really I think is going to work out nice with this bed is we carry signs with following work on traffic control. It seems like there's never less signs that they put up. There's always more sign stands and so forth. And those signs are extremely expensive. So having these longer boxes, I really tried to write down. I don't know if you can read my dimensions and so forth for the box actual compartment, but we're able to store them in the truck and keep the weather off of them and keep those a little bit longer lasting for all our work on traffic control setup and so forth.
And Kevin, you had some concerns about the one from Cascade, about just how it was built, and
We asked for, kind of get back to that page, we asked for some different things with, the Cascade one. It shows the CM, it shows the actual dimensions there. The boxes are just slightly smaller. The rear box is very much so smaller, and they weren't able to alter. They weren't able to custom fit anything that we kind of asked for. So this other S&G was able to accommodate some of the things that we wanted to make sure we got.
thoughts? Any additional questions?
Well, there has to be, if for tomorrow, if we can go with the more expensive, out of the 3 quotes, the one that's more expensive would need to definitely say why.
Yeah, I kind of figured based on the fact that it was able to provide the larger boxes and everything else that were actually requested in the RFP. And just, I think was it the Cascade one that you said is actually mostly aluminum?
No, the Cascade one is made out of just 1/8-inch steel.
Oh, that's
Their door panels are lighter, and I apologize if I didn't summarize that enough that we're going with a little bit more expensive one, but for all those options, the durability, the longevity, these items aren't a 3-year or 4-year and then trade in. We're buying these items for the life of until it basically quits running. So we're trying to fit these as economical as possible, but also as durable as possible. And the CM bed from Cascade, they're there wasn't no availability for, any options, as far as a little bit thicker metal or heavier build. And so that's why we designed the box like this, bedrock, box. The middle one, I think if I'm looking at them in order, but, the one from Oregon Metalcraft is more of a standard, service size, but the boxes in it actually aren't as large, with low profile availability for a gooseneck trailer and so forth. And so the size of the boxes, and limiting how many tools, sign stands and different things, torch set to be able to fit in those boxes isn't available.
So is this delivered to Lakeview or is there freight involved? I don't see no cost for freight or anything like that.
That is picked up there that's picked up in well, it says Filer, but it's Twin Falls.
It's in Idaho.
Yeah. The only other option for that bed, or that specific, service body was direct from Texas, and that shipping, I think, was 1,500 feet. So they recommended that we go through this. This was the closest vendor to us, to be able to get it.
Any other questions?
I don't have any.
We'll act on tomorrow.
We did have it for action consideration today if we wanted to, just because we have a very heavy agenda tomorrow. I talked to Melanie about maybe we could even, and I spoke to Kevin too. Kevin's fine with it even being moved to the next meeting. But he wanted to, if we could get it on the agenda today as an addition, or it is on the agenda today for action consideration.
Okay, so you want to take action today?
We can. If the board would like to look at it more closely, or if they'd like to review anything, we can move it forward to a following week. But I didn't ask to put it on the agenda tomorrow or anything. Yeah, because we had a very full meeting tomorrow, so I was trying to keep the slate clean tomorrow.
Your pleasure.
Mark, do you have any preference? Okay, well, I would make a motion to approve the purchase of the beds from S&G for a total sum of, what was it again? $16,291.40. Just act on it today.
Okay. Motion's been made and seconded to approve the quote from S&G, $16,291.40. Further discussion?
None.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Aye. Motion carries. Next item, Dave Knowles, abandoned manufactured home forgiveness. There was some changes to that, Melanie.
Yes, he changed the fiscal amount to $497.20. It was $496.70. So I gave you the updated cover sheet yesterday.
Yeah.
That. This is just cleaning up the books. These manufactured homes are no longer in existence, and so no longer taxable.
Do we need, I think you're going to see a lot more of these guys coming over the next few years. A lot of manufactured homes have met and surpassed their life expectancy, and they just need to be cleaned up. I don't know if Dave's available by phone. If we have any questions, I don't have any. questions. I talked to him myself last week.
That's cool. That was before this addition, the additional money was added though, because there was some changes to it.
Just $1,
That wasn't much.
not even $1.
Yeah, $1.50. No, less than that.
$1.50. Yeah, you're right.
Should just be 50 cents.
Isn't it?
For 96.70.
Oh, no, you're right. Okay, no, I went the wrong way.
I did the first time, so.
Alright, okay.
So we can act on that tomorrow unless you guys need Dave for any further questions. I'm good. All right, Melanie, RFP for transportation. We have that for tomorrow also.
So I had to go out for a request for proposal for purchase service for Lake County Special Transportation. This allows anyone that's interested to throw their hat in the ring and send a proposal on what they can do for us. I received 2 proposals. I received one from Intercourt Family Center and another one from Lake County Senior Citizens Association. These are just proposals. We will have a contract and a recommendation from the Special Transportation Committee on how the funds will be allocated. But this kind of gives us an idea of what they can do for us and what kind of money they would need. So if this is approved tomorrow, I will get together a contract and a Transportation Committee recommendation.
Questions? Have none. Action consideration tomorrow. Anything else for today other than department updates, liaison updates?
You have a liaison update?
I do. I sent out an email to you guys last week, forwarded it to you. As everybody knows, I'm stepping back from everything because it's necessary, my last 30 days. ACOM, got that together. I really encourage both of you to get in depth into the landfill right now, immediately, as fast as you can. I've made some recommendations, way to get 6 months to be able to take a breath. That wasn't accepted. There's some things that need to be done immediately at the landfill, so I highly encourage you guys to get with ACOM, get with their employees out there, and get things taken care of that way, because it's coming upon us fast, very fast. So that, and then I will be off for a week starting next week. I'm off 2 days this week, Thursday and Friday, medical things and event, and then vacation the next week. So, just to let you guys know. Other than that, that's priority that I believe the board as a whole needs to be working on right now. Very important. That's about the only liaison I really have. Working on other things, not right now. So, the most important.
I was on the caucus call this morning, talking with some of the legislators, and we're just still working with the state, trying to salvage whatever relationships we still have, and trying to build on those. And I think the senators are, everything all right?
Yeah.
Yeah, look on your face, you saw something.
I was just on the call for a very short time, so.
Oh, okay. there was a lot of discussion about trying to bring in some of the other rural counties in Oregon. I think the consensus on the call was to keep it mainly Eastern Oregon. I was one of the dissenting voices. I felt like we needed, I didn't think any of the issues that Eastern Oregon faces necessarily have anything to do with a compass. I think that they're rural issues, and I think that if we can blur those lines a little bit and try and bring in some of the rural counties in Western Oregon, I think even some of the commissioners on the call were offended. The statement was made, we had everyone on the call east of 97. 97 goes through the middle of several of the counties that are on the call, and Commissioner Henderson from Deschutes County is the only commissioner who lives east of 97 in Deschutes County, and he wasn't on the call. So, and a similar dynamic in Klamath County. So they came to the conclusion that they would not use 97 as the deciding factor or the dividing line, that they would instead use the Cascades. And I said, why do we have to use these things at all? Why can't the issues be rural issues? And we just focus on those. I understand wanting to keep the group small because we're effective. And but at the same time, when we talk to some of our neighboring counties over in rural Oregon on the west side of the state, I think they stand very alone at times on a lot of the issues that they face. And they look across Oregon and they see this group of commissioners and legislators all talking weekly, trying to solve issues. But we have our hand, holding up our hands saying, no, you can't be in our group. And so we're looking for allies, but at the same time, we're not allowing them into the room and having the conversation. And I think I don't think that was necessarily the intent of the call. I don't think that's necessarily what the legislators wanted. I think they really do want to make sure that we're working across those lines, but it started to come across that way a little bit, and we backtracked a little bit, had some very good discussion on it. And I personally think that if we can blur the lines on those rural issues a little bit and just work across the entire state, it'd be better. So I figured I'd give an update on that because I wasn't sure if any of you guys were on.
I have to tell you, I appreciate that, where I've pushed for a long time, but I just got part of the call this morning, and the part that I got was that they was going to use 97, and then I had to hang up because I had somebody walk in my office, and I had to chuckle to myself. It was just like, just thinking back of looking across the state of Oregon and the counties of the last vote, of how the vote went across the state. But you said it very well, sir, whenever you said that rural communities that's being told no, they don't have either way to go. The rest of us rural are saying we're east, we don't want you. The west side and the high populated areas that's going against their culture and their livelihoods and their farming practices say, we don't like what you're doing, we're going to change you. And they're caught in limbo almost. I appreciate you carrying the torch on that because it's not a fun torch to carry because some people are very adamant and have blinders on a lot of progressive thinking.
Yeah.
One thing I would say is whenever we start polarizing ourselves on everything, then it becomes partisan, just like we don't like partisan politics. I think polarizing, I just heard a little bit, was talking about the caucus on the coastal caucus. And they can focus right on salmon at certain times, which does not affect us. I think there's opportunity for sort of a blend of both ways. There's some issues that are going to be entirely east side. The best example would be sage grouse.
Yeah.
It's an example if you want.
Sage
Sage
grouse.
grouse would be something that doesn't fit other rural communities on that side. But there's other things within rural communities that are just identical both ways.
Right.
So I wished I could have stayed on the whole call because I probably wouldn't have said anything, but I would have liked to heard the discussion because what little bit I heard, I was surprised and set back. But it's like, you're under all line on 97 and Klamath County's on both sides, Deschutes County's on both sides.
Right.
Jefferson County's on both sides.
Yep, Sherman County.
Moscow's on the opposite.
So,
Well, I think there was a comment about, we think Wasco County should definitely be included in the call because 97 exclusive.
So my mind was sort of like, that's not a good hard line right there. But anyways,
And I think that was well received. I don't know if everything I said got across because my phone was acting up.
Your phone was bad.
So you did hear, yeah, so I wrote the part of an email and everything instead. I don't know why my phone acts up like that. It's one of those rural Oregon things that has nothing to do with anything other than cell service or wire.
Computer's setting it off.
No, it was actually my phone. I
Yeah, I know, but I mean, if the computer's setting off your phone,
don't
it's
know.
just a loud squeaky feedback sound when you get on.
well, it's not very far until you guys are going to be fighting everything you can during the legislative year coming up. And we need our senators and reps to have all the clout they can have. And so I think while that's driven by the commissioner saying, hey, we need to get more unified or however it is, but we definitely know that if we go to the state legislature as just Eastern Oregon, we're done.
Mhm.
If we can't reach out and get some of those other counties and everything.
Well, that's one of the advantages of having Gina on the call too, and being able to have AOC representation. And I think that was actually a genuine concern on their part, was if we start to open it up too much and to allow, grow the group into this big deal, we step a little bit on AOC. And so, yeah, that's legitimate, but we have like AOC at the table too, and we don't want to tread on AOC necessarily. And
Well, AOC should be the tool for all of the counties to find the similarities and try to pull that together.
Right.
So I see where you're going with the definition. And they're pretty good about that.
Mhm.
Anyways, I apologize, I couldn't stay on the call.
No worries. I wasn't sure if any of you guys were on, and my phone was apparently acting up, and I didn't know it. But it was good. It was good discussion overall from the legislators. The only other liaison update, I was hoping to talk to Jim Bailey a little bit on some things with the clerk's office and the Greater Idaho movement and everything, and just kind of get an update from that. And I think our clerk is under a lot of pressure right now, especially after the election. I think she's kind of burned out on a lot of the stuff that's been going on there with clerks in general around the whole state. So, go ahead.
I think we need to revisit the landfill thing. I don't know if you guys, so I'm thinking out loud, okay?
We need to have some discussion.
So, Brad, you were the liaison. You're stepping away, which I see and knows coming. But I think we need to talk about, would you wanna run that until we hire somebody else?
Well,
And like I say, I'm just talking out loud because, if all three of us or two of us try to run that landfill, we're going to make a mess of it. And somebody needs to, we either need to have you or one of the other one of us heading that up until somebody else is hired for that position. And you know more about the landfill than me and James hands down. But if you don't want it, me and James need to figure out what we're gonna do.
Well, I guess, I made a recommendation through Jay to be able to do 6 months to give the board and the new commissioner a chance to evaluate the landfill and to get into compliance with the things we're doing. Buddy's gone. We've lost 2 landfill managers. You know, I'm not gonna get too far into that. But there's reasonings why they haven't stayed around. And so I come up with a theory through the HR to give the board a chance to be able to work with ACOM, if that was the one, try to keep things going at the level. It was rejected in the advertisement for landfill department head. That's great. But there isn't no plan in between then. I'm done, guys. It's just the cold hard facts. It's tough to sit here and say that for me because I would love to just stay right in the middle of it. But I'm done. And I'm not gonna be here much this month. And so with the decision made to advertise, somebody's gotta come up with how you're gonna keep it operating until it gets somebody hired.
Mhm.
And so my theory was 6 months, you might be able to evaluate, you might be able to go broader for applicants, you might be able to look at your budget, maybe even offer more of what he was going to do to be able to get the best you can or to be successful. That was my theory.
So-
I pushed that forward to Jay and so that we could have the discussion as a board commission.
So can we go into an executive session on something as far as personnel or, because what I want to say, I don't want to be public because it involves people, names.
Well, then, I would not mark unless,
Yeah.
I just wanted to talk to you.
Unless we have HR talk to Mr. Bailey, on any of the there's different guidelines and I
Right.
can't think of them off the top of my head, so, no, without knowing why you're thinking.
So to go around that, when Jay come and talked to me on the proposal that you had, I agreed with part of it, but not a certain individual on another part. And so,
And honestly, I kind of felt in the middle on it a little bit. And I actually wanted to have some discussion because I think I was in agreement with a portion of it as well. But I felt very much so in the middle. It's where I sit, I understand. But
And that
we hadn't had a chance to really have any real discussion.
well, that was the intent, was to be able to have the discussion.
Right. And
So, that never happened.
I threw out a couple ideas to Jay. I didn't know if any of them were better necessarily. I didn't know where the conversation was going to go from there. I recognized the fact that we needed to come up with something quickly, and that advertising for a position was going to take too much time, and that we needed to figure out something in the interim. And I think actually I suggested something along the lines of what Mark just suggested, in terms of one of us stepping in and helping work out there at the landfill, having Josh maybe have all the emails from, that currently Buddy has to manage, come to a specific folder, and then that commissioner suddenly takes on a little bit of a role, working more closely with everyone involved, working with Hoyleman, I think is his name, gentleman from ACOM? Is it Oilman? Am I pronouncing his name correctly?
I'm not sure.
Okay, I thought it was Hoylman.
Gene,
Gene Hoylman, I thought it was.
could be.
So anyway, just whoever it is going to be working closely with the EQ, and I thought it'd be a good learning experience for a commissioner as well. And this is what I had told Jay, was that it puts, if it's one of us, it puts us in a place where we really have to just delve into it and really get involved. And if we have questions, admit that we don't have the answer, go down, talk to Jay, talk to Ann, talk to Nikki, figure some of these things out and start working through the process. And then that commissioner would also work with Jamie and those out at the landfill.
Yeah, I get where you're going, don't disagree with you, as long as my thought is, as long as the commissioner's not in the decision-making role,
Right.
is that the commissioner is helpful to, you have to have somebody designated as landfill manager.
Mhm.
As soon as Buddy's gone, somebody's gotta be designated as landfill manager to find the DEQ.
Right.
You have to have that, and that person, even if my theory was to split some jobs or some duties to be able to stay in compliance with DEQ, and they'll keep things operating out there. One of the challenges is just the day-to-day operations. And if the commissioner gets involved in that too much, it will take all your time, plus
Right.
you can end up in all kinds of issues. So I think it's great. And I think all three commissioners, it should be like the railroad, should be liaisons to the land.
Mm-hmm.
Myself personally, and I think the more anybody's involved with something like that, that's so important to the whole county, it would be great, to be perfectly honest with you. During this transition time here right now, it's gonna be a little bit more in depth, just because of the time it takes to get somebody hired, the time it takes to get somebody trained, and so on. I think ACOM is probably the best thing, and we should have looked at that before now, as far as having them consult with them to do a lot of the DEQ work. You have to have your people on staff that's gonna be doing that, they get trained, but having them and with to stay in compliance with landfills and the knowledge and education it takes to know their jargon
Right.
would be probably one of the smartest things the Board of Commissioners could ever do. With that, then that gives you the ability on your landfill manager for them to be doing a lot more hands-on work there, the day-to-day operations, the accounts payable and that stuff. My theory was you have somebody that's working around the computer all day long and all that. That person that we have out there is an operator that has some skills in that world. You pick that side of it up for the day-to-day operations, the time cards, the accounts payable, those type of things. Just sort of a blended. If you go all the way back before your guys' time, a mistake made, and I'll put my hand up as the Board of Commissioners at the time, the mistake made is nobody ever really let us know how much time the road official, whether it's Rick Amelia or Kevin Hawk, that their assistant put in on landfill. And we set it up without any kind of clerical or office help that way, and put that full duty on the landfill manager. Error in our part because we didn't know how much was being done as far as office management type stuff, not management of landfill, but keeping track and communicating with you know, that we didn't know and we weren't told. And so today we know that. And so to reorganize, to stop and think of that, to take all that paperwork day-to-day accounts payable and stuff on the appropriate position out there.
Okay, so to go back, I was notified on Friday in the afternoon, and then of course, stuff happened, right? And so I didn't get to talk to you guys all last week on that. And so I think the way we're behind the eight ball right now, that we have to do up the way you set it up. And I apologize that I didn't think that out better, Brad, but I mean, I can't think of for right now, I can't think of a better way to do things.
Well, I think we don't absolutely go where you're saying right now, because a hybrid of what I'm thinking of may be okay. You guys need to talk with Buddy.
Yeah, and I didn't get a chance to talk
You
about
guys
it.
need to talk with Buddy, think this out some. But it's unfortunate Jay isn't here. But I would like, there isn't no bad ideas.
I didn't hear you.
There isn't no bad ideas. A hybrid, I just, gotta find a way to make this work and give you and Commissioner-elect time to get this correct. And that's what I was
So-
working on, to get some time.
So we already have the contract with ACOM?
There is a contract with ACOM.
For,
We have a,
for doing a certain amount of work, they have a
Right.
new scope of work and proposal
yes,
for, doing all these other things that are requirements of this new landfill.
So that's in the works right now?
We have that scope.
it was,
You probably just haven't got through the mills.
I'm so far behind, and I apologize,
But
guys,
and that's,
I'm way behind.
but that's acceptable under the stress you've been under.
and when I talked to Jay, we had not gotten that contract yet or the proposal yet. When I spoke to Jay, we were still waiting for that. So what I directed Jay to do was to go and pull what we currently have in place for a contract with ACOM, to find out what that is. And because I think you were the only one that had actually spoken to Hoyleman at that point, I had just gotten that email where you forwarded it on to us. So I was going through that, and my intention was to reach out to Hoyleman myself, but Jay was going to call him, so I didn't want to plague the person with phone calls. So I directed him, find out what we have in place, called him, find out what the actual, what we're looking at as far as a proposal. Because honestly, that changes the scope of work for the landfill manager as well, because it changes the amount of work that they have to be doing. And if we are going to look at a
But on the other
restructure,
side of it is, the landfill manager need to be educating himself on that.
oh,
And
absolutely.
So that ACOM, if we were to go with ACOM, they would work with the manager of the landfill, because they're remote. They would come down and do some trainings and everything, but the manager of the landfill would still be doing the stormwater, would still be doing all the things to keep it in compliance. But the paperwork side of it and the jargon that goes through reporting to you, you have ACOM. Now, it's expensive, but most landfills do contract that out.
Well, you look back at our history, most of all of our problems were based on that scope of work. Whether it be DEQ stuff or all of our, not all, but the majority of our problems were in that line. And I think, to me, it's worth whatever it is that it's gonna cost.
Starts to become worth it after a while.
I
Well,
hear
I-
you, James.
I'm sorry, I said, I was agreeing with you. It starts to become very much worthwhile.
Yeah.
So-
Well, I believe in today's world that it's, if we don't do that, the cost will outweigh the cost of having the contractor, the consultant. Just because of there is, whenever, I happen, to be honest with you, as liaison, I never said at any DEQ meeting in my eyes a lot. And DEQ is very good to work with. They're not the enemy, but we have to follow the rules. And we're not. It's not. I'm talking about in circles. We just have to get in compliance with everything that's there. We have the time frames. We have all that. But I'd recommend for each one of you get some time with Buddy. Sit down and talk to him. He may have a different view than the way I have it thought out, because he will, right? But the last thing you two are very needs to be doing is spending all your time on landfill issues. Whenever you have a department head or a crew to do that, you guys can work on your commissioner's administrative duties. That's my opinion. You got to.
You know how it is with us. You know, we got a million irons in every fire, and it's like, it's the thought of focusing on just the landfill is overwhelming.
And that's, and
You know, because we don't have time, we just don't.
you set it up for your department head to get it to you, for you to make decisions on operations. That's what I like to do. We've just ran into a couple of things unexpectedly here in the last couple managers. And I'll take the brunt on some of the things that never,
I wouldn't say entirely unexpectedly, I think but I get where you're going, I understand.
anyways, why don't we give you guys a chance to visit with Buddy? He just got back, he's been on vacation, he's here for the rest of this week.
Yeah.
I don't know, at the time, he was willing to do some very, very temporary, if we had to call him in for something.
Yeah, very temporary, just to help out with some of the ropes and nothing else.
My thoughts and my structure may not have been the way he would have went, but it was just stopgap, guys. Giving the board some breathing room, keeping things operating, getting ACOM going, which it could have been very successful that way, or it could have been a flop. You know, a hybrid of even that is fine.
And just, to reiterate, I don't think, judging from this conversation that we've just had now, that either of us were necessarily completely disregarding your suggestion. I think it's the dynamic of three. It's just unique, and we all have our own thoughts and processes and everything that we're working through. And so when Jay brought the idea to us, well, okay, we're evaluating it, and we're seeing something, and then we say, okay, what about this, what about that? And I think when you get down to it, it doesn't necessarily convolute it, but it does make things a little bit more difficult to apply an idea when you have three different people bringing their opinions into the circle. And sure, we could just go with your suggestion, but we hadn't had the chance to have this conversation.
I'm smiling. That's the way it's supposed to work, is three different suggestions to work to come to an end. To make
Right.
it happen.
But then we need to have that discussion too. We hadn't had a chance to talk. And
Yeah.
yes, last week was Thanksgiving week. We had Buddy, I wasn't around, I couldn't talk with him directly, was talking mainly with Jay, and we didn't, and at the time I had first spoken to him, we still didn't have a proposal yet in from ACOM to find out exactly what their proposal was going to be, or even what it was going to cost, and how much work they would actually be taking off of the landfill manager's hands. But I think we have a lot more info this week, way more than I had last week when the proposal was first coming to us. But no, I definitely heed what you're saying in terms of the fact that we're down to the wire and figuring out exactly what we're going to do.
Yeah,
Well, and it's like my dad would always tell me, if there's any big decision, you need to wait for 3 days. You need to think things over. And, I didn't have time at that moment to think things over. And
it truly was intended to foster discussion.
Mm-hmm.
just the way that.
There was discussion.
Well, and you know.
I
the
spent
way-
more time than
the
10
way-
minutes in Jay's
The way
office.
it is set up, where we can't talk to each other without being in a legal meeting sucks. Just saying that straight up.
Well, that's the reason why my conversation was through HR on restructuring discussion to carry forward. And so anyways, we may end up having some discussion tomorrow, even if it fits an executive session or something tomorrow. But today I think we're going to be cautious on that. Great discussion, appreciate that. But yeah, I needed to bring my concerns forward to you guys. Thank you for that. But ACOM's pretty expensive, I think it was around 75 grand. But
Yeah.
if we're not in compliance on things, and I don't want to insinuate we're way out of compliance, we just have some timeframes we have to meet. We want to meet those timeframes. We want to get somebody has to do the paperwork. That's not, the commissioner's going to do the paperwork. Our employees out there right now, to put that burden on those employees would not be appropriate because they have zero training on that either. So whenever I talk during crunch time, it is crunch time to either go with ACOM or get somebody that has the skills to do that work right away. So I don't want to misrepresent what my angst or my anxiety is just to make sure we get all the paperwork in on the times that's required.
Mhm.
So, landfill is, we're getting, they're not quite done with the landfill closure, covering of the dirt. We awarded that contract, as you guys remember, to Party Construction. So there's, when you look at the scope of work, the ACOM did not put in there the closure part. That would be because Buddy wasn't available. Remember, can't think of last name, but
I think it's Hoyleman.
I think you're right. So I told him to hold out the scope of work for landfill closure because I believe Buddy's on top of that because I know he had worked with another person on that as far as for cover. And you'll see that in the scope of work. Yeah. All right.
I kind of want to, real quickly, they closed the hospital for visitors for my brother. And, if they open it back up, I'll probably run back down there.
Absolutely.
And so I just wanted to tell you guys straight up, I'm not gonna get into it because I won't be able to hold it together, so.
Understandable. So, the thing that if you have to take off, you just take off. There's still two of us here. We make decisions. If it's decisions that you need to be a part in, we can virtually you in by radio or by phone, or if you want to do the other, if there was a time that you can get on. So we have options. If you need to be gone, we can get you on the line.
Do what you gotta do.
I just wanted to tell you guys,
No worries.
and I appreciate you guys' prayers.
I gave you guys an update. I'm gone 2 days this week and next week. I'll be in the Lakeview area, but I'll have company. It's my annual, it's supposed to be pheasant hunting, but I think it's going to be Eastern Oregon desert. I'm not sure. Maybe go up Summer Lake and see what we can find up there.
It's gonna be windy.
No.
Sorry. As long as you guys are here tomorrow, that's all.
All right.
Yeah, no skipping out tomorrow.
All right. So we'll recess at 5 minutes.